Long ago, dreams were not just something people had when they slept. They were alive. Floating through the skies like glowing butterflies, they entered the minds of people at night, bringing hope, courage, and imagination. But dreams needed someone to care for them, someone to guide them and keep them safe from the darkness. These people were called dreamkeepers. Now there was only one left. Her name was Mira. Mira lived in the quiet village of Orlan, tucked between tall mountains and endless forests. To most, Mira was just a girl who worked in the village library. But at night, when the world closed its eyes, Mira became the last dreamkeeper. She wasn't born with the role. It found her. One night as a child, she dreamed of a giant tree made of silver light. Its branches stretched to the stars, and from them hung little lanterns glowing with dreams. An old woman appeared beside her and said, "The world is forgetting how to dream, child. You must remember." When Mira woke, she had a tiny silver key in her hand. No one believed her. But that was the beginning. Now, years later, Mira used the key every night to unlock the old door behind the library. Behind it was a staircase that led deep underground, into the dream vault. There, thousands of dreams rested in crystal jars, each pulsing softly with color. But the colors were fading. The world was losing its dreams. People no longer believed in magic, in possibilities, in change. They were stuck in routines, afraid to hope, too tired to imagine. And something darker was feeding on that. One night, as Mira walked through the dream vault, she saw a shadow slip between the shelves. It wasn't the first time. For months, she'd sensed something moving in the corners of the vault. But this time it looked straight at her. It had no face, only darkness. Mira raised her lantern, the flame of memory, and the shadow hissed, disappearing into the cracks. She ran after it, deeper into the vault, into tunnels she had never explored. The walls were covered with forgotten dreams, dusty, broken, or dim. At the end of the tunnel was a locked door. Her silver key didn't fit. On the door, someone had carved a single word. Remember. Back in the village, Mira began to notice strange things. Children were having nightmares. Adults walked like ghosts, their eyes dull, their hearts heavy. One boy, Benji, had not slept in 3 days. His parents were worried sick. Mira visited him. His room was full of drawings. Dark forests, broken clocks, creatures with red eyes. Benji said he saw them when he closed his eyes. "They tell me not to dream," he whispered. "They say dreaming is dangerous." Mira took his hand. "Dreaming is brave." That night she stayed with Benji. She sang an old song her grandmother used to sing, and finally the boy slept. Mira watched as a small golden dream fluttered from Benji's heart and floated into the air. But then a shadow appeared, fast and hungry. Mira raised her hand and whispered a spell of protection. The dream darted away, escaping into the night. Mira knew it was time. She had to find out what was behind that locked door. Mira searched the oldest books in the library. Most people thought they were fairy tales, but she knew better. She found a map hidden in a story called the Circle of Light. It showed a path through the mountains to a place called the Echoing Grove. There, it said, lived the memory of the Dreamkeepers. Mira packed her things and left the village. The journey was hard. The mountains were cold, the paths hidden, and the night full of strange sounds. But she followed the signs. A feather in the wind, a whisper in the leaves, a glow on the snow. Finally she reached the grove. In its center stood the silver tree from her dream, and beneath it statues. Frozen in time were the old dreamkeepers, faces kind and wise, hands outstretched. One of them held a golden key. Mira touched it. The statues began to glow, and one by one, the dreamkeepers opened their eyes. The dreamkeepers looked at Mira with eyes full of sorrow and hope. "You are the last," said the one with the golden key. "But now you are not alone." They told her the truth. Long ago, the dreamkeepers had sacrificed themselves to stop the first wave of shadow. They locked it behind the door Mira had found. But over the centuries, belief faded, and with it, the power that kept the door sealed. "It has weakened," said another dreamkeeper. "The shadow is waking." Mira asked about the golden key. It opens the door. But only when the Dreamkeeper remembers who they are. Mira took the key. Felt warm. Together they returned to the vault. But only Mira could open the door. Mira stood before the door. She held both keys now, the silver of memory and the gold of purpose. She placed them into the lock. The door opened slowly with a groan, and cold wind poured out. Behind the door was a vast cavern, and in its center pulsed a black crystal. Around it circled shadows, whispering. The largest of them spoke. "You are too late, Dreamkeeper. This world is ours now." Mira stepped forward. "Not if I dream it differently." She raised the flame of memory. Light surged from it, touching the crystal. Crack! The shadows screamed. The other Dreamkeepers stood behind her, forming a circle. Together they began to chant. One by one, the dreams in the vault floated into the room, glowing brighter than ever. They wrapped around the shadows, pushing them back. But the crystal fought back. Mira knew what she had to do. She stepped into the light. Inside the light, Mira saw every dream ever dreamed. She saw a girl flying, a boy building a castle from music, a mother healing her child with laughter. Dreams of peace, of love, of courage. And then she saw herself. She remembered being a lonely girl, reading stories in the library, hoping the world could be more. She whispered, "I believe." The light exploded. The crystal shattered. The shadows vanished. Mira fell. When Mira opened her eyes, the tree of dreams stood tall again. The world had changed. People in Orlan began to smile again. Children dreamed freely. Benji laughed in his sleep. The skies sparkled with floating dreams. And Mira. She was no longer the last. The Dreamkeepers had returned. Not just the old ones, but new ones. Boys and girls with silver keys, ready to protect the dreams of the world. And in the center of the dream vault, a new light burned. The dream fire. Fed by belief. Kept alive by courage. Guarded by Mira, the first of the new Dreamkeepers.